Welcome to Permission to Thrive. I'm your host, Suzi Lula. As a spiritual therapist for over 20 years, I have the honor and privilege of ushering women and mothers just like you on a journey from simply surviving to powerfully thriving. I also have the honor of raising our son, Will, who is now a young adult, with my longtime partner, Jamie, so I'm right there on the journey with you. Consider this your personal sanctuary, your space to meet your heart, embrace your messy, and come home to your most authentic, extraordinary self. My hope is that you leave resourced and inspired because you are here to shine. Welcome to Permission to Thrive. So, welcome everyone. Welcome. So as I was saying, I am intending to have more of our soul care gatherings with all of our coaches being invited. We have 3 collectives now, and I'm getting ready to launch another collective. So I'm wanting to create opportunities for us to gather. And today, specifically, I wanted to gather around a business theme, around being visible. And I chose this date, as I was sharing with you all. I chose this date very specifically because it's August 8th, 8/8, and it's 2024. You add up the numbers in 2024, that's another 8. So today is 8/8/8. So it's called Lionsgate for any of you who are interested, and a day of 8, the month of August, the 8th month, if you go by our calendar, the 8th month is all about abundance and manifestation. And so I wanted to specifically choose 8/8 because, and 8/8 this year happens to be a very powerful day of manifestation in a very powerful month of manifestation, of abundance, of infinite potential, of infinite opportunities, infinite solutions, infinite potentiality, and ultimately, of course, that infinite potentiality lies within each one of us. So for those of you who just jumped in, I'll just take one more moment to say, before some of you might have been on, I was also having an awareness that today would have been my sister's birthday, 8/8/2024. And I say that intentionally again, because my sister has passed on, and so my sister's in the invisible realm, but I'm recognizing so many things about today. She, from the invisible realm, is making herself very visible. So now, because I'm saying it out loud, because I shared before we started the recording, she's very visible to all of us now. And I think it's a perfect place to start. I'm going to give you an overview of what we're going to go over today, and then we'll jump in. But I think it's very important to say that my sister, from the other side, from the invisible, is making herself known, making herself visible. So when you talk about abundance, manifestation, visibility in business and in life, visibility has everything to do with, obviously, the willingness to be seen. Visibility comes from the invisible. It is taking the invisible qualities that make you up, the invisible qualities. So the invisible qualities that make me up, some of them are like, I'm very generous, I'm very kind, I'm very loving, I'm also very sensitive, I also have my issues to work on, I have, body stuff, I have generosity, I have wisdom. It's the all of me. It's the all of the invisible essence of my soul, of my spirit, and then my willingness to love that invisible so much that I make it visible. So this is what we're going to talk about today, specifically around business, your coaching, your practice, your life, being willing to be visible for your children, being willing to be visible for your spouses, But today we will also specifically talk about our coaching practice. And for those of you on the West Coast, I'm looking, it's 11:11 right now. So it's 11:11 on 888. So it just, you can't get better than that. So I'm seeing Joe's hand raised. So I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself before I even give the overview of what we're going to do today. Hi.
Hi, I just got off the phone with Max. Infinite possibility. Hold on a second. So he had a CT scan 2 days ago, and he's been off his chemo for 3 months, and they wanted to wait and see before he started a new regime. And he went to the doctor just now. He just called me. That's why I disappeared for a moment. No cancer,
Yes.
nowhere.
Yes.
Just like
Yes.
So, out of the realm of what they said 5 years ago was incurable, where they gave him a year and then they found a chemo that had worked for him for 5 years. And then the company that produced the chemo sold it, so it was no longer available. So, the thing that was saving his life for 5 years, they took it away 3 months ago, and they waited 3 months to see, because he had treatments every single week for 5 years. They wanted to wait and see for 3 months what, if in fact it would come back, and they would start him on the new regime. And he just got word it's totally clear. So he's off to the Divine Mother, Church of Guadalupe. He relates to her. He relates to the Divine Feminine, and I am just, yeah. So many of you have been on that journey with me, and so I just wanted to share that with you all. And Suzi, you've been like, you've heard it all, all the way through. So I just love you so. I'm just going to talk to her for a moment. I love you so much.
Stop.
I do, though. You've just been my rock, and you've been my go-to, and have allowed my humanity to come out in some, that needed to be expressed. So I didn't carry it around, and you just gave me that space. And so God bless you. Thank you. And I love you all. I'm very grateful. Yeah.
Thank you. LaDon June, you are just amazing at how you can do all the emojis. What LaDon June said, what LaDon June said. And this is so perfect. So thank you, first of all, Joe. And it's so perfect for what I want to dive into today with being willing to be visible. Being willing to be visible in your life, being willing to be visible in your career, with your practice, with your children, with your spouses. Because, Joe, there's so many things that jump out about what you're saying, but there's two really pertinent ones for today. One is that you have been willing to be visible with me personally, individually. You have been willing to show me everything. I don't think there's anything that you haven't shown me. And you have been willing to show us as a community everything. There's nothing that you've told me or shared with me that you've said, and now let's keep that. Like, you have been willing to be visible. And when we're willing to be visible, it's just like me before I happened to press the recording and I was telling you about my sister and tears came. And then what happened? All of you were so supportive because tears came, and I was visible with you all to what was present within me. I didn't try to just show you guys part of me. I shared with you all. For those of you who happen to be here, I just hadn't turned on the recording yet, but I shared with you all my humanity around my sister taking her own life, and I didn't hold it back, and I didn't just share 96% of Suzi. So because I shared that, then what came to me? Love, support. You, Joe, you have shared your journey with us. And so what comes to you? More love, deeper connections with us, deeper intimacy, deeper support. This is very important because we're taught to do everything ourselves. It's weak to reach out for support. It's weak to show those sides of ourselves. What is so and so going to think of us if we're bawling our head off, but we're supposed to be a coach? Or there's so many inundations and indoctrinations that we receive that would keep us from showing ourselves visibly. Heather Beaton, this is just so for you too. I just can't get you out of my, like, you're here, you're here, you're here, you're here. Okay, and then the other thing that is so relevant and important and so grateful for what you're sharing is that the particular marriage that I appreciate about soul psychology is this particular marriage includes the messy. And so you haven't put a value judgment that the Joe that shows up in his wisdom or the Suzi that shows up in her wisdom has more value than the Joe that shows up in his humanity or the Suzi that shows up in her humanity with the messy, with the knotted. There's a Sufi saying, I believe it's a Sufi saying, if it's different, someone enlighten me, inform me. The darkness and the light are both the same to thee. So in these particular teachings, no mud, no lotus, the particular teachings that speak to me around soul psychology means that we don't differentiate between the messy and the shiny. The messy and the shiny are all the same because the messy and the shiny provide the same opportunities to love. So if I show you or Joe shows you all the shiny parts of us, we love the shiny parts of each other. I love when LaDon June, you are like the shiniest of the shinies, you know, you're always doing I love that, right? And so we love each other shiny. But it's easy to love each other shiny. So Joe, what you're saying is you've shown us also your messy. And I shared about my sister and she, took her own life and it is what it is. And I didn't differentiate it. And so Jag unmutes herself and all of you guys, Andrew's asking, what is her name? And now Ro is very present here today. And so I very long-winded way to say, not only do I just so appreciate you and appreciate what you said and appreciate yourself for sharing specifically today when we're talking about visibility, it's also just so in alignment with what we're talking about today. So, thank you. We all love and adore you. And so much love to Max. And that's the other thing about messy. We haven't pretended that anything, we haven't gone to like positive psychology, bypassing what is, but we also have been very intentional about where we want to hold our consciousness and how we can untangle the knots. So all of that is just perfect about where we're diving into today. So let me give you guys a quick overview. I'm going to share with you guys, like I said, I want to have more gatherings. So today's gathering is really around business, how to work through and be willing to be more visible in your life. And just a couple of quick logistical updates. So this fall, I will copy and paste these dates, but don't worry about the dates because I will send them out in a, hang on, I'm just copy and pasting. I'm going to send these out in an email. So don't worry but just for anybody who's interested, this fall, I'm going to be offering, it doesn't look good in all the spaces and stuff don't come out well. But anyway, this fall, I'm going to be offering a Healing the Heart of the Inner Child course live again. And so anyone who's interested in going back through it, since you're coaches, You can be small group leaders, anyone. Whenever I offer this course, people want one-on-one coaching. And so I'll be referring you all. So some of you have already let me know that you're interested in being a small group leader. You're interested in me referring you for coaching. If you've already let me know, don't worry about letting me know again. I have you down. I've been keeping. But anybody that's interested, those are the dates. I'm going to do a free 2-day masterclass on the inner child. It's going to be September 26th and 27th, same time, 11 a.m. Pacific. And then the course dates will be October 10th through the 11/21. So I'll tell you more about it. I don't want to take our time today, but it's just a way I wanted to offer. If anyone, I'm really wanting to offer you all more leadership opportunities. If you're interested in hosting and holding a small group, one-on-one, these opportunities will be here for you. So with that said, there's another couple of updates, but I really, because of the time, and I want to honor our time, I'll just send them out in an email with the recording of this. And now let's jump in. So for the next 30 minutes, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to take us through a centering, because we haven't centered, a centering, and I'm going to take us through a guided process around visibility. And after we go through the guided process around visibility, I'm going to do a short teaching, and then mostly I'm going to open it up to Q&A. So anything around being visible in your life, in your business, we'll just ask questions, have a discussion. Now, as typical, I like to start with a piece of music. And as typical, I went back and forth around different pieces of music. So there are 2 pieces of music that I really like to use around business, around coaching, around being visible. One is the song, I play it all the time. I'm sure you have it. It's I Was Here, and it's by Lady A. And that is what I was going to use today, but I decided not to, because there's a deeper song. Whoops, My Soul's Desire. The recording I have is by a friend of mine. I can send it to you guys. Cynthia James. That's what I'm going to play today. And so I'm saying it with what is the word? I can't think of the word. I'm telling you, a disclaimer is the word. Giving you a disclaimer before I start the song, because there are very slight, subtle references to God, to maybe Jesus, or that kind of thing. So I want you to just take it, hear it through your own filter, because the song really represents why we are all gathered here today. For anyone who is interested in being visible in your family, being a model to your children, showing up in the way that you are called to show up with your spouse. For any of you who are coaches, who are being called to coach, to assist others, there is a calling upon your soul. And that's a very deep calling. And when you can be so intimately connected to the calling that is upon your soul, that shifts and changes over time, but when you can be obedient to the calling that is on your soul, the calling that is on your soul is of a higher vibration, a higher frequency than any of the knotted tangles that your survival self needs to untangle. So yes, you have your survival self, you have knots that may or may not come up. We always, that's what I was saying to Joe, we always, no, we're not here to pretend we don't have the messy. When you are in an intimate, devoted, committed relationship to the calling that is upon your soul, and you make that more important than anything that this world has told you, anything that this world is telling you today, anything that you have told yourself in the past that is not of the truth, that is not of the highest vibration of love and essence, then when you have that, you have everything, because you connect yourself with a flow of the universe that is for you. So I chose this song. They're both wonderful. So we're going to play this song. I'm going to take you through a guided process, and then we're going to move into the last thing I'll say before we move into the song is the quality of visibility, going from what is invisible to making it visible. That you could replace the quality of visibility with the quality of safety. To the degree that you experience inner safety is to the degree that you will allow yourself to be visible in the world. Make sense? So you could forget about the word visibility and use the word safety, because to the degree that you can create and cultivate inner safety is to the degree that you will shout out from the mountaintops why the heck you are here on planet Earth and your soul's desire and your soul's calling, and you won't hold back. So, hi Jazz. So Jasmine is here, Kai is here, Nandi is here. There's a few of you who have been traveling and not here every time. So please, if you're Priya and Suzi and LaDon June and Lori and all the people who are here all the time, don't feel slighted. We love each other all the same. But you know, when a jazzy girl shows up after traveling, it's a little minute to shine. All right, all right. So assuming you're not driving, let's each and all just close our eyes. Let's place our hand on our heart. If that feels right and good to you, if you're driving, you will reach the same depth with your eyes open. And so I'm going to just play this song. And as you're listening to this song, I want you to allow it to speak to your soul's calling. And I want you to allow this song to speak to you and to awaken or reawaken why you are here, what it is that lights you up. What lights you up from the inside out, and give yourself over to that during this song. All right.
God, when you placed your hands upon me, I knew I would never be the same. For in that moment I became your servant. And since that day I only have one aim. My sole desire is to be
So you're just allowing your own soul's desire, your soul's calling. There's a calling placed upon your soul, upon your heart, upon your life, to awaken, to light up from the inside out of you, to allow it to take up all the space in your consciousness right now. That the only thing that you see is this bright light. Your soul's calling, your purpose, what it is that lights you up, the way that you are here to contribute and serve your family, your children, your spouse, your clients, your business. Serve the world, serve in the world, serve in your world. It could be something so simple that no one else will ever know. I know one of my soul's purposes was to cut the generational cords of how my mother parented me and how I parented Will. No one else may ever know that. But I know that I was obedient to that soul's calling, and I'm a different individual, and I cut those cords and I see it. I know it. I was obedient to that soul's calling. There are other soul's callings of mine that I have that are maybe more visible to others because I'm teaching. There are souls calling upon your heart that no one else may ever see or know, but you know. And then there are some that may be very visible to others. But a soul's calling is something that you know inside of you is a reason that you are here on planet Earth. Now feel how good it feels to be of service, to be an instrument, to be a vessel, to allow love to flow through you, to allow creativity to flow through you, to allow your own wisdom to flow through you, to allow what it is that you have to share and bring and give to others to flow through you. Feel how good it feels to be of service. Feel how good it feels to be an instrument and a channel of the Most High. Feel how good that feels. That goodness, that good feeling is infinite. It's unending. And yes, now feel that there might be some messiness in you. There might be some ways and places that you need to tend to inside of you. Place those places in your heart as well, but see that they are smaller than the infinite loving presence, the high vibration, the high frequency when you are on purpose. That very place of being on purpose will minister to, will mother, will nurture any knots within you. So your soul's calling is infinite, it's unending, it's unbounded, it's unlimited. Nothing can stop the soul. It's unstoppable. And if there are knots inside of you, of course, that's fine. You just place them within the context, within the framework of an infinite, bright, golden light that will then mother, that will then nurture, that will then tend to any places that need to feel safe, that need to feel tended to, that need to feel healed, that need to feel transformed, because we can't give to others what we don't transform within ourselves. And the transformational process that you go through is so relevant to every client you'll ever touch. My own transformational process is so relevant to Will. It's so relevant to every one of you. So we don't leave that out. We place it in the center of our heart. You listen now, just before you open your eyes. Listen, what is your soul's calling? Listen to it. Be willing to be obedient to it. And then whenever you're ready, gently open your eyes and then just place it in the chat. A word, a phrase, a quality, something that's alive within you right now that you want to memorize. The feeling that's in your nervous system right now. The feeling that is here, the guidance that's here, the wisdom that's here, whatever it is for you, you want to write it because this is the first step in quote, being successful and being visible. You're taking something that privately came to you in your heart. It's private. It's invisible until you make it visible. Like what was going on within Joe was invisible until he shared it with us. He made the invisible visible. When I was sharing before we started the recording, oh, it's my sister's birthday. Oh, she took her own life. Ah, so much emotion came up. It was invisible. Then I made it visible. When I make something visible, it opens us up to infinite good to come rushing to us. When you make something visible, then you include the universe to bring you that infinite flow of good, and you are here to receive and open to the good. So here I'm going to read some of these. I keep thinking I can't support others because there is unhealed content in me holding me back. Yes, exactly. And that can hold you back until you do what you just did, which was the second part of what you wrote, which is I've done enough healing. You are only here to walk side by side with someone else. I'm not here to be higher than you guys, to be farther ahead from you guys. I'm sure you guys have heard it said, you just need to be one step ahead of your client. I don't even think that way. I just think if I'm teaching you guys how to play the piano today, the only prerequisite for me is that I also play the piano and I'm learning and I'm not pretending I'm something that I'm not. So if I'm teaching you how to swim, I'm in the pool. I'm not on the side of the pool trying to teach you how to swim. I'm swimming alongside of you. You know, I had tears this morning. So that's brilliant, Jazz. It's just something that our culture teaches us. Come on. It's just something our culture teaches us that says, you know, you need to be something more than what you are right now. I promise you, it's not just a string of words that I say. Your transformation is your greatest credential. It's not a string of words. It's that you can feel when someone else is doing the work. You can feel it. So I would call Jasmine anytime. I've sent my son to Jasmine, not because of that you're farther along than Will, because I know you're doing the work in your own life. And so when you're doing the work in your own life, you have something to offer someone else because you're not offering it from your intellect. You're offering it because I'm swimming in the pool with you. I know what it's like to have knots, and I know how to untangle the knots because I'm doing it. And as long as we're on planet Earth, we will all have knots. The Dalai Lama is working through something. I was just talking to Michael Beckwith yesterday. Hey, by the way, for any of you who follow my podcast, Michael Beckwith is my guest this week, and he's really an incredible guest, Michael Beckwith. Why? Because people see him as Michael Beckwith, the guy that was on The Secret, Michael Beckwith, who's la 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 la. He was so vulnerable. He was so authentic. Within the first 5-10 minutes, he was talking about his own resistance to stepping into his own vision of his own soul's calling, right? He was talking about his resistance and how he worked with his own resistance. So that reminded me, Jazz, because we think, oh my gosh, once you're somebody like that, you probably don't have tangles anymore. As long as you're on Earth, we're infinite. As long as you're on Earth, you're going to be going to your next level, to your next level, to your next level. So that's why I always liken it. Sorry, I'm looking at the chat. I know it's such a seemingly silly analogy, but I always liken it to brushing our teeth because there is no end destination where I'm going to be ready to coach now. There's no end destination. I'm just going to brush my teeth for as long as I have teeth in my mouth. I know I'm going to keep transforming, and the more I transform, the more I want to transform, and the more people I can help, you know? So Veronica, to be a bringer of peace internally and externally. Exactly. When you know that process, people are going to be lining up around the corner. I think that's why I always have a waiting list, quite frankly. It's not because I'm some special person. It's just because I do the work and I practice it all the time. And people can feel it. I think that's it. Lori, to serve, support, connect with others who need someone to see and hear them. It's perfect for you, Lori, because Lori is someone that can so see you. I'm so loved and cared for. So perfect, Cindy. To help animals. Oh, to help animals be free from experiments. God, that's something that we need. For all of us to be free of these experiments. All needs met. The warmth in my belly that also includes the circulation of the coin of the land. It is good, it is necessary, it is for the benefit of all, and it feels good. Exactly, immerse yourself in what feels good. Help people know there is no death. That is so brilliant, because the more you can recognize that the invisible is so close to the visible, that's very needed. I am, and what I have to share is relevant, needed, necessary, wanted, and desired now. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I'm super interested. Okay, excellent. I got you guys. Speaking out to the divinity of true feminine power and motherhood, and giving women permission to be true to themselves. Freaking men. I want to continue to heal family trauma, feel innocent for it instead of guilt for choosing something different. Brilliant. These are all so good. So I'm going to come back and weave them. I'm going to keep coming back. I want to keep going forward for one more minute to teach a couple of relevant pieces in here so you guys can be using it. So what did we say so far? We said the most important thing, the highest frequency and vibration that you can learn to be obedient to, is taking the time to listen to your soul's calling. So if that particular piece of music, if it helped to connect you with something greater, with something that's impelling you forward, you listen to that every day this week, every day for a week, every day for a month. Or find something that awakens the highest vibration inside of you. You first do that, and then you place any knots in your consciousness in that. You don't want the knots in your consciousness to be the largest thing you see. You want your consciousness to be your mothership, your soul, your spirit, so that the knots can feel smaller than your mothership, so that the knots can feel mothered. So you want to get yourself into a space of the great mother, the divine feminine, because business has to do with the integration of the feminine and the masculine aspects within us. So we start with the feminine. We start with the darkness, the womb. Before a child is born, they are in a womb. It's dark. So you start with the mothering, the being, the healing, the connection to the fertileness of the soil, the inner. You start there so that the inner part of you feels safe to then do what is needed to be done in business, which is the masculine, the being visible, the putting yourself out there. But you want the masculine aspects to come from a very connected inner. Is that making sense to everybody? Yes, of course, business, parenting, being in an intimate relationship, life, life calls for us. We've all, maybe some of you have been watching the Olympics. They don't get there without the masculine aspect of practicing and doing, right? The doing is, of course, it's important. It's part of why we're here. We want the doing to come from this expanded state of consciousness. We want the doing to come from there. So you don't want to start with the doing where business is concerned. For any of you who are interested, I do have a business course. I know many of you have taken it, but for any of you who have not and you're interested, I'm going to put the link because this is what I think I do uniquely from a lot of business courses that are out there. When you start from transforming your consciousness, the business comes. It can't not come, because when you untangle a knot inside of yourself and you are in the flow, everybody around you feels the flow, and you don't feel like you have to keep that flow secret anymore. So here's the link if you guys want it. Okay, so there's two ingredients to putting yourself out there, to receiving clients, to being a presence out in the world. There's two ingredients. One, first, you want to be excellent at what you do. So you all are all excellent because most of you have taken many certifications and somatic healings and different things. This is not your first rodeo with me, but even if it is, if it's your first rodeo out the gate and you're the racehorse out the gate and the only thing you've done is the 5 months certification, which all of you have done, you are excellent at what you do because you are untangling your own inner knots every day of your life. And obviously, the more experience you have, the more your excellence grows. But excellence, for sure, you need to be excellent. You can be excellent and barely put yourself out there, people will find you. If you are excellent, people will find you because people love to share what is great. You share a great restaurant with your girlfriends, you share a great yoga teacher, you share a great article you've read, you share some music. We love to share what works. And so if I had just one client, that client could maybe tell 3 other people. Those 3 people might tell one person each. You grow if you're excellent. So I for sure put, 98% of my investment is on just being on the cutting edge of things in my own life, just transforming my own life. I know my consciousness is my greatest asset. I know my own transformation is my greatest credential. So number 1, excellence. Number 2, visibility, because people need to know what you're offering. If we don't know that Suzi here does a lot with the body and nutrition, and we don't know that Joe is a one-on-one coach and is a grief counselor, if we don't know, how do we know to send people to each other? So we need to be willing to let everybody know what the heck we do. If people don't know that I love soul psychology, then people won't know where to find me, how to find me. So people want to know what you're offering. And that's where it gets really juicy. Because like what Jasmine was saying, when you equate visibility with how much safety you have inside, that's where you're going to see if you have knots in consciousness. And all of us have knots in consciousness around being visible. I can tell you that from talking to people from Michael Beckwith to, I could tell you it's the greatest thing about being a therapist and having clients from all walks of life, because I could put somebody on here that you've all heard of, major A-list actor, and I can tell you that he would say he has some knots around being visible. It's part of humanity because we're all here to untangle whatever shame we've taken on. So visibility has everything to do with safety, and safety has everything to do with being willing to wrap your own love, your self-love, around any shame that you feel. So visibility ultimately has to do with healing shame. So far, so good. You guys get that? So what I've done well is I'm very obedient to my soul's calling, and I untangle the knots. So I'm going to keep this part of the teachings really short because I want to move and have at least 10-15 minutes of Q&A. But what I've been sharing with you all, for those of you who are in mastery, and anybody that wants to jump into mastery, please just email me. I can send you guys the link. If you're not in mastery and you want to jump in, I keep it really, really inexpensive so we can stay on this journey. But the past month or two, I've been sharing just deeply how I've been untangling some knots around, ultimately, it started with untangling knots in my marriage, which had to do with untangling knots within me. And it ended up in a very unexpected place, which was recognizing shame that I felt around being visible. Because, why? Because I became aware, oh, when I was young and I played in a lot of piano contests, always the end goal of those was to try to gain my mom's approval. Oh, I realized I was so objectified as a little girl. I would walk onto a stage, I would play the piano, and then people would judge me. And that was my life for years and years and years and years and years. Girl walks on stage, plays piano, other people judge girl. Objectification, objectification, objectification. So I have carried in my body shame. What if I'm judged not so good? What if I'm judged second place, third place, don't place? What if I'm judged now, currently? And so I've been untangling that. What does that have everything to do with? Safety. Why am I saying all this to you? What your work is to, that's my journey. Your work is to become aware of the little boy or the little girl within you and how any shame still lives in your body. That was the way it lived in my body. And when you can understand, like it shows up in my body sometimes, like I'll gain 5 extra pounds. Why does that seem relevant to being visible in my business? Oh, I gained 5 extra pounds to try to keep me invisible. Why do I want to be invisible when I want to be visible? Oh, because I've been objectified. So what do? I sit with that little girl and I mother her. And I tell her, I will never objectify you again. I said today, I didn't know how many of you guys would come. Maybe 2 people, maybe it'd be 3 of us. I've had to say to that little girl, oh, it honestly doesn't matter to me whether there's 3 of us here or 3,000 of us here, because I'm not objectifying myself anymore. I love this little girl no matter what, and I want her to feel loved by me, having nothing to do with external anything. So you want to find what you carry shame around. So you can write that in the chat right now. The greater awareness you have, the greater effectiveness you will have at untangling, at remothering, at nurturing, of healing. When you heal, a couple of weeks ago, I had said to you guys, and thank you, Veronica, I owe you an email back. And I think maybe I haven't gotten to everybody, but I received a lot of emails from you guys and texts when I said, oh, maybe I won't do a collective 4. It was very important to me to give myself permission not to do a collective 4 because I didn't want this little girl inside of me to be caught in that shame spiral of like, well, it's like giving a party and what if nobody comes? But as soon as I started connecting with her, all of that evaporated, it dissipated, right? So you want to have an awareness of where you hold shame, and you have to connect with the part of you that is learning how to mother the place inside of you that feels shame. So the inner shame, you may carry body shame, financial shame, parenting shame. Ultimately, shame is judging who you are. And so you want to say to yourself, I love you unconditionally, beyond any condition. So if that's clear, now I want you to just share here quickly any place that you're aware of that you carry shame. Why is this so important? If you write it here, already it will begin to dissipate. That is why I'm authentic with all of you. That's why I'm transparent with all of you. Because once I say it out loud, it's not in the closet anymore. When it's in the closet, it holds power. When it's out of the closet, it holds no power. When Joe just shared at the very beginning today that he shared with me and us everything inside of him, because he and many, many, many of you are so willing to share authentically, and that's not easy. That's why deep bow. It takes courage to share. It takes courage to share. As you do, it loses power. I'm 56 and just starting my business. Oh my gosh, Wendy, I want to freaking celebrate you. Yes, you do have to really write it, Lori. You do. Sorry, not sorry. You do, you don't, but you do. You know you want to. I did not want to tell you guys any of this. Do you think I want to say, and I gain weight so that I stay invisible, but I really want to be visible like you're like, she's cuckoo. There's nothing you can write, any of you. There's nothing you can write that's more cuckoo than any of the things any one of us has. Like, it's crazy. Okay. Wendy. Let me just ask you this. Does the world need more people in their 50s to start living their next chapter? Yeah. So there's a little girl within Wendy that is not 56. There's a little girl that's probably 6. And the 56-year-old probably needs to hold that would be interesting to me, Wendy, is what's the younger part of you that thinks that just starting your business, that's scared of just starting, that's right. Being 56 and just starting is the topsoil. Now is where it gets interesting. What is the little 6-year-old saying? Is she saying like, what if I start and nobody comes? What if I can't do it? Like, there's something that is here for you, but for sure the world needs this. I just got laid off today, Cindy. So that means you are free. Where's Cindy? Hang on, let me find you. There you are. That means you are free. Doesn't mean I don't know your financial situation. I don't want anybody in financial survival mode. That's a different thing. But you are free right now to like call it in for you. So lean in to us. Lean in. May this be the most abundant chapter of your life. My husband got laid off because they were systematically laying off all the tenured people so they could bring in new people that they didn't have to pay as much. And it was the start of the rest of his life, because he was like, dang, now I can go out and do what I want to do. So I'm holding that this is the start of the rest of your life. And whatever you feel, if you feel shame, if anything, that you hold it and heal it. Because it isn't the being laid off that would be making you feel anything. It's your own conditioning that would be making you feel a thing. Okay, very, very good. I feel shame being different than my family. I can so relate. So that part of you, needs this. Okay, hang on. Shame around emotion. Sorry, I'm just going through this quickly because I'm keeping you guys so long. Shame spiral. When I hurt my partner's feelings or do something wrong. Yes, I'm just reading through all these. Fear of looking weird, needy, greedy. Yeah, these are all things. Can you see that all of these things, what they have in common is there's a need. So for Andrea, that place that feels like, oh my God, what if I'm weird? What if people don't like me? That place needs to hear from you. Yeah. I love the weird in you. I will never push out, judge, resist the weird in you. I embrace the weird in you. And I will never judge you. Because when that place inside of you that's scared of what others will think, when it knows that it's safe with what you think of you, you will put yourself out there because that place will feel safe. So now you ask yourself, what do I need to feel safe? I have been very objectified. So I have grown to early on feel my worth had to do with outer numbers, how much money I made, how many whatever classes I taught, external. I've had to disconnect. What I needed to feel safe is that my worth comes from the inside out, and I will not judge myself objectively. I will not let a world that is mired in numbers, I will not make that mean anything about myself. And when I started doing that, everything continued to just open and spiral. So you have to ask, what do you need inside to feel safe? What does the young part of you need to feel safe in your own consciousness? Being bigger is taking up more space. Yes. And for each one of us, there's something very specific that inside of us, we know what we need to feel safe. We know what we need. And when you can ask yourself, I'm so interested in what do I need to feel safe? And then you become so dedicated to giving that to yourself, the rest happens organically. So right in here, just before we go, I'm sorry, anybody that has questions, please write them in here. Anyone that can stay, I'm happy to stay with you. I want to say sorry, not sorry for going late. But I want you to write in here before you leave, what do you need? What does this place inside of you, what does it need from you to feel safe? That is your homework. Because inside of you, you know what you need to feel safe. And then your work is, how do I give this to myself? I am dedicated to giving this to myself. So like for Wendy feels nervous about putting herself out there at 56. So there's a little girl part of her, well before she was 56, that needs something from her. When Wendy identifies that and then learns to give that, the visibility part not only will come, but the journey will be essential. So part of your message, maybe it won't be the leading thing in what you do, might not be the thing you lead with, but part of your own untangling at being 56, part of that will then infuse and be woven into your teachings. Because the universe uses everything. I promise you, whatever knots in consciousness you are experiencing right now, they are for you. The universe is not set up to give you a knot, to have you untangle said knot, and have it not be relevant to your contribution and your soul's calling on earth. The universe is unified, unified, one. The universe is not set up to have you have something to untangle and then not use it in the contribution that you are to make. So I promise you, whatever knot you have right now, not only is it essential for you to untangle it for your own personal life, but will be used to help someone else untangle something in their life. there, this is not a dualistic universe. It's a universe. It's not a duoverse. It's a universe. The universe will use everything that you feel shame around right now, the very thing that you think is holding you back right now. I can't express to you enough how relevant it is to your teachings, to your contribution, to whatever it is that you have to share with each other. The very thing that you're putting in the closet right now is the very thing that is part of a gold mine of what you have to offer. I promise you that. The way I was externalized, the way I have connected my value to all the externals, it's been so relevant. I wouldn't be doing soul psychology. My soul, your soul, isn't interested in the external measurements of life because it's not taking any of that with us. And the last thing that I'll say is, the other thing that will so help you is think of when you're passing on. Because there is going to be a moment that we all pass on. That is also consistent for all of us. Every one of us is leaving this planet Earth at some point. When you leave this planet Earth, you leave with how obedient you were to your soul's calling, to how you let that lead you, to how you experienced the life force that you came to inhabit, and how much you gave away that life force. And it doesn't matter if I charged for this, like today it's free, whatever. It doesn't matter. But the money is so irrelevant. It's relevant around your own valuing of yourself. But you're not going to take any money with you. What's relevant when you get to the end of your life is, did you give away? Did you give it away? Did you immerse yourself in these amazing connections? It's why, going back to what Joe and what I was sharing before we started the recording, like, that's what brings us closer, you know? So you want to really project yourself as best as we can. We can't really, but I project myself every day. Well, I'm not going to be here forever. How do I want to live this life? When you really immerse yourself in that, these knots become small. When I'm more interested in living the life that I came here to live, then what other people think of me becomes less important. I just start doing it. Does that make sense? All right, so I'm gonna let you guys go. We'll do another gathering. For those of you in Mastery, we'll keep unraveling this in Mastery. For those of you here, we'll do another gathering and we'll take this to the next level. If you have any questions right now, put them in the chat. I will answer them right this second. I know most of you need to keep leaving, totally cool. It'll be on the recording if there even are any questions, or you can unmute yourself, whoever's here. If you have any questions, I'm here. I'm available. Thank you, Devin. It's so great to see you. I'm so glad you are here. Sally, I need to be proud of myself. Yes, 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 yes. The more proud you are of your inner self, the more that inner self will shine and radiate. Any questions, you guys? Ask me. I'm here. No? You're welcome, Joe. My pleasure. My pleasure. No questions?
Susie, can I unmute myself? And
Yeah, ask a question. I'm here.
I have been so conflicted around my own self-care and healing and the desire to serve others. Sometimes I just find myself so depleted and tired. But I do realize that if I streamline and focus more on what's truly important and let more things go, it will be easier to do both. But then sometimes I also wonder, so that, yes, I think that's part of it. But there's another piece I know that maybe like today when you're asking about soul purpose, what was coming to me is like sometimes I feel like my soul purpose is to just be loving to myself and others, no matter what, and whatever the moment or that phase of my life is, versus like the grand, like, this is my big purpose, this is how I want to serve like the business. Sometimes I feel like, yes, that's there too, but there's so much change and shift. And so I get kind of a little
Yeah.
bit
So I
torn.
think, yeah. So I let me see if I understand what you're asking, but these are two different questions. So one, you're saying about caring for yourself versus having the overflow to care for others. So for me, that's why I see it as a spiral. I don't see it as two things. I see it as one thing. One thing. I care for myself unapologetically first, period. That's why I wrote my book. Period. It's not selfish, although the world will say it's selfish, especially to a mother. But I know that 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 when I am in an overflow state, I don't not give. Because anyone on planet Earth that is on an overflow state is a giver. You cannot give from an empty cup. You can't. You can give only to the height that you are at. This is why I work on my consciousness every day. I can't take you guys to a more elevated consciousness than I live in. That's why I'm seeking enlightenment, because I can't take anyone. I can't run with you on a mile run if I can't run a mile. So I only focus on my own self-care, soul care. And I know in this world that sounds selfish, but I know that when I am in an overflow state, I know that I am lit up and I'm a better partner to Jamie, and I show up as the mother I want to be to my son and daughter, and I give to my clients from an overflow state. That's why I personally have never experienced burnout except in COVID, when so many people were in need during COVID and I didn't take care of myself. But I don't get burned out because I stay in an overflow state. That's not easy when you have little kids, especially if you have little kids and you're a single mom. That's why I always take my hat off to Heather Weaver, because she's a single mom and she has a little one. And so if you're a single parent, you have little ones, it's hard but I wrote my book when he was little because he said to me, Mom, you need to smile more. So I know that when I'm in an overflow state, I give. So first answer is, you are responsible to you and you alone, because when you're getting ready to pass on at the end of your life, all you're going to look at is, did I take good care of myself? And when you do, you will move, because you're saying you're in an overwhelmed state, an exhausted state. So you need to look at the context of your life, as does everyone. Andrea's in a chapter of her life. Kai's in a chapter of her life. Veronica's in a chapter of her life. Nikki, Wendy, we're all in different chapters. I'm in a chapter where, I got nothing but time. I wish Will needed me more. I can't, nobody needs me right now. So it's an easy time for me. I don't, right? You, on the other hand, you are going through major, massive life changes right now. Massive life changes. emotional healing takes a lot out of us. So you might not be in the chapter of your life where you're out there on Instagram going, I'm doing 17 courses right now. You should follow me and see I have all the extraneous energy in the world, because you need to be true to the chapter in life that you are at. And you are in a replenishing chapter because you have been depleted for a really long time based on where you are, the chapter and the book that is Priya. Does that make sense? And every one of you, when you learn to be true to the chapter of life that you're in, so I have been in chapters of my life where I felt scared to not put myself out there, but I've been called to be inward. But if I'm inward and I'm true to that, what if nobody comes next time, right? But it doesn't work that way. When you, Priya, go, I have been in a freaking emotionally bankrupt time in my life, and I'm now learning to have emotional deposits in my life. And when you are true to that, trust me, you will be in a chapter of overflow. It just might not be today or tomorrow. And don't you let the world or anyone else or anything else tell you your life should look any different, because it shouldn't. So that's the first thing. And then, yes, the second thing, where business is concerned, and you said you were conflicted. Yes, how do we reckon when our soul is in one place? So what you're saying is your soul is in the place that's knowing, if I just contribute to my daughter right now, that's enough. Versus, do I pour myself into my business right now, right? That is also a question that every one of us should ask, that shifts and changes. And how much investment do we, I always put 98% investment always into myself and 2% into my business. It's always the same percentage, because I know that whatever 2% I put in, if it comes from my overflow, it works out. It might not be the chapter that there's some moms out there who have little kids, or there's some women out there who have just come off of a very emotionally depleting chapter in their life, who will be out there and they're giving. But here's what I can tell you guys unequivocally, because I get to work with people that you all have seen. They're all out on social media telling you, you can have it all the time. And I work with these people. I could name 4 names off the top of my head of people that you've all heard of that are out there saying, you can live this big fancy life, and they are burned out. But they won't say it in public. But when they will say it, they'll say, oh, I sold my business for $7 million and I was so burnt out. So now I'm going to teach you how to do your business from a feminine place. But what they didn't tell you the whole time they were saying, you can build your 7-figure business, the whole time they're presenting themselves in one way, but they're MFing burnt out. And they come to me and they're burnt. I hear it from people. I can tell you their names. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's just culture. That's just cultural indoctrination. It's just cultural indoctrination. But I know, because I'm privy to talking to all of these people, I know that when you are true to yourself, so it might not be the chapter of your life where you're like out there going, oh, I'm doing, XYZ, but maybe you put 2% into your business. Maybe that's what you do. That is more than enough. That is more than enough. And then you know what? In 4 months, in 6 months, you'll come back to us and go, oh my God, I didn't even do one thing and people started calling me. I don't really do that god awful much when you look at people who hire like fancy, social media people and all the things, and people find me. It's consciousness. It's all consciousness. It's not all consciousness. You have to move your feet, but it's mostly consciousness. Does that help answer your question?
Oh my gosh, yes. I had completely forgotten about the overflow because there was a period several months ago where I felt it for a little bit. And it makes sense why I'm not feeling it right now. I am going through a lot of processing and
You are, and it's amazing. You're doing amazing work. That's why when we did the guided process, then I'll let you all go in a second. When we did the guided process, that's why I put in there that some of our soul's calling and purpose other people may never see or know. I share with you guys, but if I didn't share with you guys, the world at large does not know that one of my soul's purposes was to cut generational dysfunctional parenting and parent my kid differently. I know that inside of myself. The world on Instagram may never know that about me. You hear me talk at Agape, maybe I'll put it in there, maybe I won't. I teach with Shefali, whatever. Maybe I say it, maybe I don't. That's something that I will always know. So a soul's purpose, if I wouldn't have just said it out loud, the few of you who are still left here, Nikki or Kai or whomever, might not know that you are going through a very, very deep chapter of your life right now. I reference it because you asked a question, I'm talking to you, so I'm referencing it. But nobody else on planet Earth, I know because we work together, nobody else on planet Earth may ever know that you are going through a very, very, very deep soul realignment in your life. That is massive. That will, I promise you, be part of what you will be offering to clients down the line. So why I'm saying all this is the world is not going to give you the daily feedback that says, Priya, remember a couple of months ago you felt that overflow? That's what's important. The world is not, you scroll on your Instagram, you're not going to see that. You're going to get the message, why aren't you doing the next thing? It's just the way, what the world values. But here we will remind you. You know that little overflow you were feeling 2 months ago? That's your golden ticket, girl. You keep feeding, watering, nurturing that, you're unstoppable. So we see what's important. The world isn't necessarily going to give that to you. Does that make sense?
Oh, completely. Like I see that in that healing phase right now.
Yes, exactly.
And yeah, and the 2% you said, it's like so clear. It's, my writing, which is going to be healing for me. And that's easy to, not easy, but that will be the overflow that I can bear.
Exactly. All right, guys, I've kept you long enough. I really hope that what I just shared with Priya is also, each one of you can take it and apply it to your own life, because I promise you it's a very consistent principle. And I just see that your face, now I see your face, Andrea, and I have to say to just those of you still here and those of you watching the recording, I know you want to do more around soul care and teens and messaging and all the things. And I just got to get with you. And I know Alyssa wants to jump into that. And there's many here in soul care that's really interested in the education of younger people. And so you popped on, so I just have to speak to you. All right, everybody. May this inspire you, fill you, nurture you. And here is till next time. Love you guys. And thank you for those who were here at the beginning and said such kind things about my sister. I really appreciate it. All right. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for listening. If there was something in this conversation that spoke to you, we'd so appreciate it if you would take the time to subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and share this episode with women and mothers you know, because you are here to thrive. See you next time.